So I've got this pattern, a PDF available for download. Put it up on my blog, and I'll leave the link below for that. So this is the pattern. Mine's full of holes because I've used it about 1,000 times in the past couple weeks. And what you want to do is you want to cut 2 of the outer mask, which is the entire cutout, and then that's for these. And you want to make sure for your fabric that the curved parts are facing each other and your right sides of the fabric are on the top. And then for the inner, you want to fold on the fold line and do the same. You want to cut one this way and then one this way, or if the mat pattern doesn't matter, then you can just fold the fabric in half and lay it on top and cut it out, no biggie. But these are the 4 pieces that you're going to need. So this is what the mask looks like when it's done. I just wanted to kind of show you the workings of it. This one, they attach, they come up over the nose, they keep your mouth and your nose covered. We also have a built-in kind of channel for elastic or string or whatever you want to put on there on both sides. And they also have an opening in case you wanted to add another some type of filter in there. You could use, you know, a coffee filter, or, you know, I've seen reusable grocery bags cut up and put inside. I mean, anything to protect yourself right now. So let's get started with how to put that together. You want to take your pieces and you want to line them up with the right sides facing. So the pretty sides are touching. Line them up as good as you can. If it comes out a little off from the other, it's not a big deal. So this is the outer and this is the inner. It is going to be a little smaller. And then what we're going to do is sew it down the curved side at 1/4 inch seam allowance. I do have a marking on my machine that has 1/4 inch seam allowance to make it easier to kind of extend down so I can see where it is. So I just keep it lined up to that and just make sure it goes along that line. Make sure you backstitch at the top just to make sure it stays together. And sew it down at 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I've got my 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down. And then you want to start at the flat bottom, open it up. You want to push your seam allowance to the side. You want to put the needle, because what you want to do is you want to sew, focus, you want to sew this to stay flat. So we're going to top stitch, meaning getting as close to this line while tucking this under. Go ahead and put that in there. Whoa. Make sure you do your back stitching if you do any. Back stitch a few. Alright. Then what I do is lift it up, hold it open, and then lift it up and make sure that this is laying flat, and then just get as close to this line as possible. It doesn't have to be, you know, perfect. And stop every so often, lift it up, make sure it's laying there. And you don't really need to backstitch at the end of there. So this is the outside, and you just want a straight stitch line to hold it down. Now you want to do the same thing with your lining piece. Backstitch first all the way, and then go in and sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. do a few stitches of back stitching. And you want to open it up. Start at the bottom. Cut your threads as you go, just to make it a little easier on yourself. And, oh, sorry, my thread popped out. Alright, so make sure you're working from the bottom, the flatter side. Push that seam allowance over, slide it under, and then just top stitch that down. Make sure you back stitch. Lay it flat. Now you got your lining piece done as well. Now that you got both your pieces done, cut your threads off because they're annoying. You're not going to need them. They just get in the way if anything. And so now you've got your lining and your outer piece. So you want to take this to the iron and you want to fold about 1/4 of an inch, fold it over another 1/4 of an inch, and iron it down. This is the lining piece on both sides. So I'm going to go do that and come back. Alright, so I went and I ironed down the sides, and what that's going to do is create this nice line for the area that you can slide a filter into. So now you just want to sew these down. You want to top stitch these as close to the fold as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, just needs to be able to lay down. So we're not looking for a perfect line. You see mine's kind of crooked, but it's going to hold it down. So do that to the other side now. Now we want to, this is the right side, we want to lay that face up. And then look for the right side of the other one with the seam down it. Flip it over, and you want to put the right sides together. Line them up right down the middle so the seams meet up on both sides. And you can take some pins, put it in there. I don't always pin all the way along the sides, but if you're not used to doing this, I suggest pinning it so it's easier and it doesn't move while you're sewing. Just make sure the sides meet up. Put a pin, and you just want to lay it down all around. You will have a bit extending off the end. It's supposed to be that way. That's the way we cut it. Alright. And that's just pinning the, you can pin the bottom now if you want to as well, or you can do it after you finish. So what we're going to do now is sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance all along the top, starting with the inner lining and ending with the inner lining. Make sure to backstitch. Then you just want to sew at a 1/4 inch all the way down the line, minding the curves. And you're going to want to do the same to the bottom. Make sure you backstitch all the way, and then sew it at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Make sure you backstitch at the end, very important. Alright, now we've got our wrong sides showing with our seam. We've sewn at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I've also gone in and cut down a bit of it so it's not too bulky at the top. Now you just want to flip it inside out. Make sure you go through, push everything out so it lays flat. And you want to take it to your iron and iron it down so you make sure it stays flat. And for the sides right here, this is going to naturally want to fold over. You want to iron this down as well. Try to make it go straight across, because you want to create a little crease there, because we are going to take this and turn it in to make the channel for our elastic or a string. So we want to make sure that this is a clean edge right here. So go ahead and take it over the iron everything out flat. Make sure all the seams are laying flat. It's going to curve around itself, and then these need to be flat. Ah. Annoying. Alrighty, so now that everything is nice and ironed down, what we're going to do is, now that these, make sure that these have been ironed down as well on both sides so they flat. What we're going to do is start on one end, and you're also going to top stitch as close as you can to the edge along the entire top, and then also along the entire bottom, and make sure you go over your seam allowance here as well. Now it's going to be underneath so you can't see it, but if you're close enough to the edge, you'll catch it, you'll be fine. Go a few stitches forward, I'm going to go back a few more, and then I'm just going to go as close to the edge as I can. I'm going to work kind of slow just so I don't mess it up. Now if you get to the corner and you're having trouble with turning, you could also stop, lift your foot, pivot just a little, go a couple stitches, just so you stay close to the edge and don't feel like you're going to go too far off. And then once you feel comfortable, go right back to it. All the way to the edge. Stop and give it a couple back stitches all the way through. Oh no. My bobbin ran out. Alright, so my bobbin ran out right when I was filming, of course. I'm just going to leave it in there. I could start over, but you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and leave it in there, because we're all just trying to get through a global pandemic, so I'm just going to allow myself some mistakes. And start a little bit before where I left off. Give some back stitching. And make sure to stitch all the way to the end. Hopefully your bobbins are all full, because mine was not. And now we're going to do the bottom. Start on one end. Get it as close as you can to the bottom. Go as slow as you need to. Back stitch and go right through. Alright, so now gotten the bottom stitched up. We've also got the top stitched up with a mistake. But you know what? No one's gonna know. Alright, so now you've got all of your top stitching done on the top and the bottom. Now we work on those sides. So you can iron at this point if you want to. I'm not going to. I'm just going to finger press it and call it a day. I usually just take the bottom, fold it up about 1/4 inch, finger press it down, then take that fold, meet up with your lining without overlapping it. It just needs to meet up right against it. And if you need to pin here to hold it, that's fine. Usually I don't, but I'll do it for the sake of the video. Make sure these are tucked under. There we go. And then I'll go to the other side. Hold it up about 1/4 inch. Finger press it down. And then bring it here. Pin this side down as well. I'm so afraid of pins. Alright. So now all you need to do is top stitch right down the edge. Make sure you do not catch the side. And you want to just sew that down on both sides. So you want to line up your needle as close to the edge as you can. Make sure you are not catching your lining. If you need to hold it out of the way, so be it. Make sure you definitely back stitch off the edge here, and then come in and stitch close to that edge all the way down. Make sure those corners are tucked under well. Back stitching is important. It did bunch up a little bit there, but that's okay. Now make sure you do the other side. If you need to move your lining out of the way, do it. Under there, it stays under there. All the way to the edge. Go off the edge, back stitch, go back forward, and you have completed your mask. So I'm going to cut all my threads and I'll show you what we got. There we go. Your mask is complete. All of your stitching's done. You do have a channel to put an extra filter in there if you need to. So now all you got to do is feed either some elastic that goes through here and it can go around your ears, or it can go through the entire thing and loop over, and it can be an around the head one. I'm glad to make this video for anybody that needs a good tutorial for a mask that they want to put an additional filter in. I know a lot of people like the cloth masks, but they want to have an extra layer of protection, so this gives them that. You could use coffee filters, you could use cut up, reusable grocery bags, the ones that are made of the material that are similar to doctor masks. There's different things. And I did read that flannel is very good for helping with filtration, so I did line this one with flannel. But in case we want to put another layer of protection in there, we can. I mean, this mask seems suitable for right now, right? I think so. Thanks for watching.